We took Sunday off for Father's Day, but we are back. I'm Wes Blankenship, Palmer Toms, Rusty Manziel, and Jake Roos, also known as Mountain Jake, joining the show. Guys, sticking with a little bit of the Father's Day theme. If you've got young kids or if you've had them, you know, sometimes they can keep you up at night as they work through their just new days on Earth. And they're trying to figure out how to go to sleep, how to use the bathroom, and all that good stuff. I was one of those guys sitting up with my little ones recently, and I was wondering, what's keeping Kirby Smart up at night? Yeah, that's all I think about is the dogs. It's June, though, and it's that time of the year when you're starting to look ahead to the season, but you're not really playing any real ball. The workouts are going on, and Kirby can't really be with the players. It's all on his assistant coaches right now, so he's got this layer between himself and the players. I'm curious what y'all think. What's keeping Kirby up right now about this season, about college football, about a position group? What's making him nervous, making him sweat?
I don't think he's nervous. I don't think he's sweating it, but I guarantee you it's these official visits right now, buddy. That's what's keeping him up at night because he wants to know, were we as thorough as we should be? Did we do all the things? Did we say all the things? Did we glad hand mom enough? Did we talk to dad? You know, I think to me, that's the big one for Kirby right now in this moment. And listen, it continues to be pretty successful. I don't think it should keep him up very, very late at night, but I think that's exactly what's keeping him up at night because they're building toward the future. We had somebody over on the board today, and I don't mean to call you out at all, but you know, somebody was like, "Oh man, feels like we're losing a lot lately." I am having trouble seeing that. Personally, you know, Georgia is on a tear that rivals about anything that anybody's got going on nationally.
They're number one in the country, by the way.
No, yeah, I mean, not only you were number one in the country before this run started, just FYI, and now you've added to it consistently each and every week. And I mean, they're just knocking these out of the park. You pick up another commitment today. We'll get to that later on, but you know, it's been consistent throughout these official visits that it's been huge for them. And they've been building toward the future. Like I said, you know, you look at, I think where people lose perspective sometimes is you look at what Florida did this past weekend, and they just guy after guy after guy just starts flooding in. Florida had some ground to make up. That's the difference. Elvis Robinson, the number one cornerback in the class, tells Jeremy Johnson he's locked in, and people are like, well, what's going to happen at defensive back? You've had one of the best players in America committed to that spot now for 4 months. I mean, these are salad days, my friends. You're not struggling on the recruiting front, but I promise you, at least in my opinion, that's what's keeping Kirby Smart up at night right now is these official visits, these official visitors, and making sure that not only is Georgia ready for 2023, but Georgia's ready for 2026, 2027.
Yes. That sounds more like it, Jake Roos.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the stupid stuff. It's, you know, you don't on the team side of things, you know, there's not a ton going on, and you know, like you said, he can't be around those guys, and you know, he wants to make sure that he's going to have all of his guys for the season. He doesn't want, you know, any more, you know, off-season drama. You know, you don't want any injuries. You know, you don't want somebody to go out on an ATV and get hurt, or, you know, drive around town and get hurt or whatever.
ATV is like saying Voldemort in a Harry Potter book.
I know. So it's the stupid stuff. I mean, that's what, you know, on the team side of things, you know, as much as with it, for as much time as he spends with them, you know, it's the time that he's not with them, that he doesn't have control over them, you know, and isn't there to watch their and guide their every move. That's what he's worried about with the team side of things.
I was glad that you caged that by saying that he's not with them at every moment and can't control their every move, because he's still got control over them right now. I promise you, ain't nobody hanging out without Kirby Smart texting them and being like, hey, make good decisions, right?
Yeah, if Kirby has your number, he's blowing you up.
I can tell you from last night, looking at a social media post, what do you have, 11 official visitors this weekend, Bruce?
Yep.
And so you can imagine how crazy that was and how you have to be on all weekend. You got 11 major targets in town. You're meeting with them all day yesterday. Oh, by the way, it's Father's Day. So I can tell you from last night what kept him up. He was at a travel ball field at 12:24 a.m. this morning watching his 11-year-old son win a ring. So I can tell you what kept him up last night was getting done from all weekend and then driving to God knows where to watch his son win a ring. So he can be a dad too. So that's good for him to spend that time. So last night kind of kept him up at the travel field. But I think what's keeping Kirby up is what keeps him up every single day. He has a switch in him, and I don't know how much the guy can turn it off, and that's the reason why he's successful. He's just built to be a football coach, and he's built to be a CEO, and he's running his program. And I think right or wrong, whatever way he runs it, he's got his hands on every single thing and every single decision in that football office. And I had a football coach tell me one time, if you're the head coach, it's your name in the paper when you lose, not those 10 assistant coaches. So what keeps him up at night is his normal job. These guys are like presidents. I hope he doesn't watch this, but man, he's had a rough 8 years on him. When you look at the before and after pictures of the presidents. Wes, please don't cut this up. But
he's going to get this YouTube channel shadow banned after that.
Oh man, big boy decisions. You know what I mean? He is he is running a program. He's back-to-back national champions, #1 recruiting class in the country.
In 2 classes, by the way.
Yeah, 2 classes. And I talked with someone in that building the other day, and they had their youth camp last week. I believe it was Tuesday, or the week before last was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They had 575 kids, and they had almost 700 kids on the waiting list. Oh, by the way, they went up $125 a camper. And I was told Kirby Smart made it very clear to every single person working that camp, if this isn't important to you, then you're at the wrong place. So little details, when you start telling coaches this youth camp, oh, by the way, we better treat these 3rd graders like we treat these official visitors. When I tell you details.
How many of them got offers, Rusty?
I don't know. I'm already doing profiles, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess I can find out. But I had a dad tell me who was there and said Kirby led off the camp by telling those kids, you're going to get coached hard. He said the theme of the week was hard work works. And he told the campers that 4 of the current roster at the University of Georgia all started at the University of Georgia Kirby Smart Camp. So when I tell you he takes little things serious, I mean, he takes small things serious.
You're making me feel like the oldest man on earth that there's 4 kids who went through Kirby Smart Camp already.
Yeah, who do we think? Do we know who those 4 are?
So that would be Pierce Sperling, Drew Bobo. I was thinking about that. AJ Harris. Remember he was teammates with Pierce Sperling?
Yep.
So that's 3, and I
think there's a photo from that AJ Harris Kirby Smart Camp.
AJ Harris and Pierce Sperling. I did hear the story. They lost in the Super Bowl in Sanford Stadium, so they'll have a chance to redeem their careers. But I mean, think about it. So 4 of his team has come through that little camp, and to him, it's no different than high school camp. And he made it clear. I'm talking about to not only his 10 guys off the field, those 100 coaches that he has to hire to come in to work. You're not here to babysit. You're here to coach these kids. And, little things like that, man, separates Kirby Smart.
I'm so glad that my parents did not take me to Kirby Smart Camp when I was a kid, man. I wanted to be playing Sega Genesis. I wasn't trying to get screamed at by Glenn Schumann. I mean,
For not sinking your hips on a drill,
Yeah, right.
We were talking on the last show about how John Fabris was just terrifying kids at the camp I went to in high school. Well, you got to get after it, and you got to. I guess if you're a parent, you know what you're getting your kid into. You want them to be coached up like that. Palmer just sent me a picture here. Who is this, Palmer?
That's AJ Harris. I went and found it. That's from his commitment tweet. Him in 2018 at the Kirby Smart Camp.
An absolute savant at finding a photo.
You are, man. You're like better than AI. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, see that picture? Yeah.
Look at that fade, man. Also, very clean there. AJ, shout out to AJ Harris, man.
He's already taller than Kirby right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there was an offer discussed in that moment.
Well, you think about it. I mean, you think about that kid, right? That young man right there turned into one of the most highly recruited players in the class of 2023. Major battle. Georgia, Alabama, everybody involved with him. And that relationship that Kirby started with he and his family in the 6th grade. Think about things like that.
Yeah, and you talk about those small details, and like you said, I mean, like you got 4 guys on this roster who went through this camp before, and it makes me think of the Demetrius Robertson situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just those long-term bonds and never closing a door for anybody and saying, "Hey, we've always got room for you. You're always welcome here." That kind of stuff. I mean, it seems ridiculous to think that like a camp that you do when you're in 6th, 7th grade would be something that ended up being a deciding factor at some point. But guys remember this stuff, man.
Well, one of our members on DawgsHQ, I don't know if you guys read it, but his son came over and they drove from Texas to come to this camp, and he said he brought people with him. The only reason they came this far is because it is still the only overnight camp left in the country. So most of these things are day camps. You know what I mean? Like, not only if you work Kirby Smart Camp, you're on dorm duty. You know what I mean?
You got the mask and tape on the door.
That's a little Rusty Mansel's running around just grazing hell. I mean,
So I hope they were in some better dorms than the ones I stayed in. The first time I ever stayed in Russell was at one of Mark Rick's camps.
Oh yeah.
And I think it smelled worse in there that summer than it probably did with some of the freshman undergrads, man. It was there was no AC going. It was amazing that anyone survived that tower of terror.
I don't want to tell you about the first night I stayed in Russell.
I'm glad you remember it.
I may have woke up on a couch in the Brumby dorm hallway.
I don't think it was a couch, my friend.
We'll talk about that. I'm gonna have to go on Bark After Dark for that.
Yeah, that's a Bark After Dark combo. I'll echo you, Rusty. I think, same vein as what Palmer's saying, just the people that are around him that are keeping Kirby Smart up is his own staff. Are they up to the standard of what he wants? You can explain it to him. You can say this is what it's like to be here, but are they wired the same way? And I think that's why he's hired so many familiar faces over the last several months, because he knows that they know what he knows is that you have to be on at all times. And it makes it a lot easier to sleep at night when you know that Mike Bobo understands what makes you tick, when you know that BMAC knows what's going on, Coach Hartley, all those guys. So I think that's, if there's anything right now about the team itself, are the guys that I'm trusting to not only coach up the youth camp, but the guys that I'm trusting to coach up their positions and coach up the guys under their wings, are they getting the job done?